I want to launch a lawsuit against the US government for their corruption. Overcorrecting is a dangerous thing to do that can seem like the right thing to do. An example is with police. One side wants to defund the police, the other side wants to back the blue. But the best thing to do is reform the police and hold them accountable when they do wrong things. The police are needed to go after criminals, which is a very stressful, high-risk job, so it's understandable for them to get some types of immunity, but if their conduct goes unchecked, these types of immunity will attract people who want to get away with abusing this power. Bad actors plaguing the police will make people view all police with disdain, when obviously not all of them are abusing their power, but too many of them are. Authority figures shouldn't get a pass on crimes they commit or allow others to commit, but that seems to be a big problem in our justice system. By trying to correct the mistake of unfair trials and accusations, we ended up overcorrecting and allowing loopholes and technicalities to be used to claim unfair trials and accusations when a crime has clearly been committed. One example of this is a president accepting bribes in return for favors. If a person donates to a president's presidential library and gets something in return, it ends up being legal because it isn't a direct bribe. It's a donation, and the president can choose to do or deny a favor. And with that, bribing a president becomes legal. That's how Qatar got access to AI chips by donating a private jumbo jet to Trump's presidential library, and how a billionaire who committed so many crimes he didn't even bother to stay in the United States for the trial and fled to Switzerland and had his wife donate to Bill Clinton's presidential library got pardoned by Clinton. But one of the most harmful overcorrections is when a major financial collapse happens or an environmental disaster or public health emergency that results in regulations meant to prevent another disaster and protect the people. This on its own is fine, but regulatory agencies can fall victim to a problem. Their success goes unnoticed because if there is no crisis, it is hard to tell if it's because the agency is doing a great job or if there is nothing happening. So they start to expand their influence to continue their relevance and end up over-regulating. Once regulation becomes so complex and dense that it becomes so hard to get things done, overcorrection takes place and the government will just loosen regulations without keeping something in place to prevent corporations, institutions, and agencies from doing the things that led to regulations in the first place. One painful example of this is the Glass-Steagall Act of 1933, created to separate deposit-taking banks from riskier investment banks in response to the 1929 stock market crash and subsequent Great Depression. In 1999, the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act was passed by Bill Clinton to repeal the Glass-Steagall Act so financial institutions could become more competitive in the global market. As a result, banks took similar excessive risk-taking that led to the 1929 stock market crash, and we got the 2008 financial crisis and Great Recession. And the response to this was the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act, and the cycle